Frostbite or Duelist? Which one will carry you through your next Witchfire runs? I tested both in the real endgame, and one of them is a real no-go if you don't pay attention. Ladies and gents, welcome back to another Witchfire Wednesday, and today we're gonna look at two guns that couldn't be more different, Frostbite and Duelist. And we're gonna deep dive into their map clearing and boss killing potential, so stay tuned. Let's begin with Frostbite. In my very personal opinion, the first gun in the game with a real skill gap. A gun that literally separates the sweats from the casual players. And a gun that's damage potential could possibly scale to infinity, well, if you got the reflexes of a race car driver. But even without min-maxing the potential, Frostbite still packs quite the punch, and it has a very, very large crowd control potential as well. So here's the Mysteria. Well-timed secondary reload boosts damage for 3 shots. Perfect reload adds freeze, and the duration scales with the shots fired before reloading. Chaining perfect reloads further boosts the Mysterium 1 damage. And 3 consecutive perfect reloads empower the next shot with double damage and a freezing trail. After you unlock the third Mysterium, Frostbite's reload timer will consist of 3 different areas. The grey part is the standard reload without any empowerment to the gun. The light blue bar is the part where the gun will be empowered for the next 3 shots. But the real deal is the deep blue part of the timer that adds actual freeze in an area of effect to the gun. So, when empowered, the star on the gun's bolt will start to glow white, even though it does not indicate how many empowered shots are left, so you gotta watch your ammo count. Hitting the perfect reload for the first time will add freeze to the muzzle, and the bolt will glow in a deep blue for that very first shot, then turn back to white to show the empowerment. But after hitting 3 consecutive reloads, will make the bolt turn golden, and then your next shot will leave a freezing trail behind it, freezing every enemy that crosses that trail, and you can actually use that to your advantage. Here's a little fun fact. When Frostbite was introduced into the game, the gun would behave just like every other gun when emptied. Naturally, the gun would reload on its own. But since we have the special reload timer, the automatic reload would usually mean that it caught you unprepared or off guard, making you miss the perfect timing. So we made suggestions in the Discord, and now Frostbite is the second gun in the game that needs to be reloaded manually, the same as Hangfire. So from the footage you could already see that Frostbite is quite strong, but the gun has a few major issues, and I want to finish the first half of the video with it. The reload minigame is super fun, but you get to look at it raw. It adds to the reload time of the gun, which is already quite bad since Frostbite is a bolt action rifle. But the minigame alone makes Frostbite one of the guns with the longest reload in the entire game, and longer reload simply means lower DPS. It is simple as that. Additionally, the gun has 6 shots in the magazine, yet only the first 3 shots will be empowered, so the last 3 shots in the mag are more or less another DPS killer. So you have 2 options here. You go for the single shot power and freeze potential, and you reload after every single first frozen shot. Remember the problems with the decreasing size of the perfect reload, or you can make use of the empowered shots and reload every 3 bullets. You're still wasting 3 bullets in the magazine. Anyway, since you can apply frost pretty consistent, Frostbite is a perfect candidate for another Shattered Soul build. But the question is, why would you use Frostbite for it when we just had a major buff to Ice Stiletto, or when you could use Fatum? Is the gun fun? Yes, it is. But is it for beginners or is it overpowered? Well, definitely not. So let's now have a look at Duelist. When Duelist came out with the Witch Mountain update, I was confused as hell on how to make it work. It really didn't click for me, pun intended, until somebody on the Discord hit me with it. Since patience is not one of my strongest suits, I initially struggled to trigger the empowerment. And additionally, since I thought it was a revolver, I clicked like a maniac to make the gun shoot. But it's a fanning revolver, so it's actually auto-fire while you don't ADS. Simply hold down the trigger and enjoy the show. So to make the gun work, wait for the click, indicating the gun is ready to win the duel, then hit one of the weak spots of the enemy to win the duel with the right timing. The gun gives you two indications on its current state. As soon as you killed an enemy with anything, Duelist's barrel starts to glow. This indicates that you now initiate the duel by aiming down sights. And if you hit the weak spot and therefore win the duel, Duelist becomes empowered and starts to burn, so you have little flames around the barrel and the drum. If you lose the duel, you will hear a gong sound. And if you win the duel, the gun will spin and you will have a fresh reloaded Duelist that is set on fire. Time to talk about the Mysteria. After any kill, a duel can be initiated by shooting an enemy while aiming down sights. Landing a critical hit right after the mark, which is the click sound that you hear, it empowers the gun temporarily. Dueling is disabled while empowered. A duel victory also reloads the gun and adds burn to bullets, and it quickens the reload while the empowerment lasts. And last but not least, killing enemies extends the empowerment duration. And that is more or less everything that you need to know. Since Duelist is auto-fire while hip-firing, it's pretty good at shooting soul sigils or simply shredding trash. But be aware, Duelist literally relies on killing trash, and as soon as you face a single big-ass enemy and you lose Duelist's empowerment state, well, you are screwed, since it takes a lot of time or damage to fuel Duelist again. Yes, you can gain another duel after shooting quite the time, but this is more or less a waste of ammo. So boss and elite killing capabilities are highly reduced. Please be aware of that. It is a true weakness of the gun, and you need something like Echo or Frostbite with Shattered Soul if you want to go boss hunting. And this is more or less my conclusion. Frostbite is super fun and you can have awesome fun with both guns at the same time. But if you plan on fighting bosses, you need Shattered Soul for Frostbite, otherwise you're pretty much screwed. Or you add in any of your other favorite guns with boss killing abilities. I hope you enjoyed the insights on both guns. Let me know in the comments how you like Frostbite and Duelist, and please help the channel by giving the video a thumbs up. As always, have a good one. Oh, and before I forgot, here's what I think is the best build to combine Frostbite and Duelist. We now start with the prophecies, because I think it's best to play with Shattered Soul. And therefore we have the water element prophecy, the fire element, the prophecy of lightness, which you can actually swap out for something else you like, prophecy of spells, firearms, dead eyes, and gunpowder. For our rosary, I went with the free arcana bead because I simply love it. With a spell recharge bead, you never go wrong with more spell power. The triple reward speed because you want to make use of more feathers if possible. And the last two ones are absolute personal preference. You can go with the ailment power bead for even more damage with burning stake and the elemental damage in general. And I'm quite undecided on the blessed hit speed. I think I would swap it out maybe for the elixir bead if you need more defense, or for the ammo reserve speed, or the ammo preservation bead. And for the gear itself, obviously Duelist and Frostbite, then a melee weapon of your choice. And because Shockwave works so well together with Duelist, I went with Shockwave, Burning Stake, Dynamo Ring, U, and Curfane, because you're gonna proc Shockwave quite often, then you have a guaranteed proc of Curfane, and it works with both guns just wonderful.